We're joined now by Robert Gumede, non-executive chairman of Gijima. Robert, appreciate you coming into studio late on a Friday afternoon. How are you feeling?
Bronwyn, it's a tough day for humankind because this loss of Madiba is not just affecting us as South Africans and Africans, but it affects the whole world. The speech by President Zuma last night summed it up very well on all our behalf, because Madiba has been the leading light of humankind. And we tend to just focus more on what he has done for South Africa. But Madiba has unlocked the chains of many in the world over. And you can tell that by a number of heads of governments who've come forward. Others woke up in the middle of the night to be able to share their grief on the passing of an icon that we have produced.
How's he inspired you personally?
You know, Madiba has inspired me just the way he has inspired you, because there is no one that can say Madiba has not touched their life. Madiba has not touched their lives when they were down, and Madiba has not been responsible for having lifted them up, because that's the kind of a man that he's been. And for me, he continues to live because we are the reflection of his life. He is our founding father of democracy, and the way he has embraced all of us, and is the man that when he was facing the gallows, he never chose to be the victim. He never said black people were the victims. He said all South Africans were victims, and we have to rise above all the man-made problems so that we can find a solution. How great it's been that after 27 years in prison, he came and was given an opportunity by you and me and by the Almighty to come and do what he wished for. And we are lucky that he has lived this long and he's been able to lead our country. But we must also remember, he not only led our country, and because of him, we have to remember that we were the last country in the African continent to gain full democracy and freedom. And he was then honored, and all of us were honored as South Africans by the Commonwealth of African Union, when they believe that it has served its time. It needed to be changed to an AU, African Union.
Was that his vision when it came to Africa?
It was certainly his vision, because we were completing a phase of a struggle. The OAU was a struggle organization. It shouted with the highest voice.
This is the Organization for African Unity.
That's right. And so once South Africa has come into the fold of international community, it called for a change in tactics, in making sure that together we can be able to have a new vision for Africa. And we were honored in that Madiba became the first chair of the African Union and was founded in Durban. And we didn't end there. We have to remember that when it came on the issues of Commonwealth, they again were given an opportunity to play a leading role, you know? And you can tell that the world has bestowed the status of a leader to South Africa. Many people forget that when the issue of Saddam Hussein came up, the only person who unlocked the problem that the United Nations was facing, it was Nelson Mandela, who was not allowed, by the way, to fly over to Libya. Sorry, I said Iraq. It was really around Gaddafi. He drove on the road 450 kilometers from Algeria to be able to go and unlock and create an environment that was enabling for the resolution of the issue of the plane that was bombed in Ireland. And when he persuaded the Libyan Gaddafi president to surrender two of their key intelligence guy, and one of them who was finally convicted for having placed the bomb, the Lockerbie bomb. And it was Nelson Mandela who created that opportunity.
Robert, I've got one more question. We're chatting about unity, and we're talking about the Organization for African Unity and the AU,
Yep.
As we know it now. You were sitting in on that discussion that I was having with Sandile Zungu, and he mentioned that one of Madiba's wishes was business unity. Sandile is positive on the strides being made towards business unity in South Africa. Are you also positive on that front?
I'm very much positive, and Sandile is a good friend of mine and a brother, and I know where his heart is. Sandile is not carrying a knife, he's probably carrying the surgeon's knife that was used by Chris Barnett, who was able to fix everything, bring a new heart, and I know that is what business requires. It requires people who understand the political terrain and also understand that you cannot separate business from politics. We obviously have to deal with the politics of business because our politicians have dealt with the politics of politics. And there is no doubt that perhaps on this day, all of us, and I'm very happy with what Sandile mentioned, that there will be a joint a memorial service between big business and organized big business together with BBC. That is what we need, because Mandela lived for unity. He was not the one that was there to perpetuate divisions. But we must understand also that business now, more than ever before, has a greater challenge of supporting government in its programs so that we can be able to help government to deliver to the people. We must also be able to create the much needed jobs. And because without the much needed jobs, we'll go back to the old bad days. And I think as business begins to hold hands together, we're going to see more change, and government and business working and speaking in the same language.
And taking Madiba's legacy further. Robert, thank you so much for sharing your insights.